Okay, so today we're going to do a little more on making sure that our subjects and our verbs agree in our sentences. So remember, our subjects are who or what our sentence is about. Our verbs are what they do, right? Those are action verbs. They could be linking, there could be helping verbs. We have to make sure they all go together. That way our sentence will make sense. So I'm going to go ahead and read some of this to you. If I make some marks or circles, you can go ahead and do that on your paper too. That'll just bring your attention back to some important information. Okay? Every sentence has two parts. You know this. A subject that tells who or what the sentence is about, and the predicate that tells us more, tells us what the subject is doing. So let's take a look at these sentences. The bird sings, and the birds sing. Do you notice anything different between the two? Now, let's think about that. Let's think about that difference as we keep reading, because then we're going to take a closer look at our sentences. What is the subject of sentence 1? So who or what is our sentence talking about? The bird sings. Well, it's the bird, right? That's what our subject is. This sentence talks about one bird. So remember, we say that that's singular. Singular, single means one. What is the subject of sentence 2? Well, this time we have more than one bird. I'm not sure how many, but I know that there's more than one because of that S on the end of my subject, the birds. This sentence tells about more than one bird, so it is plural, 2 or more. Both sentences have verbs that tell about present time. Present time is right now. That means it's happening. So the bird sings, that bird is singing right now. Or the birds sing, that means more than one bird is singing right now. That's what that idea of present time means. It's happening now. Verbs must work together with their subjects. Subjects and verbs must agree. What are the verbs in sentences 1 and 2? Well, our verbs are what they do. So the bird sings, the birds sing. Do you notice how if we have a singular one subject, we have to add an S on the end of our verb, so it makes sense. The birds sing. If we have a plural subject, we have more than one, who or what our sentence is about, we don't add an S. Okay, that's what we're going to be practicing today. An S was added to the verb in sentence 1, right here, kiddos. This verb now agrees with its singular subject. The verb in sentence 2 has no S. It doesn't have an S right there. That's because it agrees with our plural subject. Now we have 2 more sentences to take a look at this. The little boy fishes. The little boys fish. Which sentence has a plural subject? Well, that's number 4. They're talking about the little boys. What is the verb ending in sentence 3? So our verb, here's our subject, the little boy, that's singular, 1. Take a look, he fishes. Do you notice what we had to do there? We had to add an ES instead of just an S. Do you remember when we did that with nouns? We learned usually we just add an S to make a noun, plural, more than one. But sometimes we have to add an ES. The same thing works with verbs. So if you have a singular one subject, you have to add an S or sometimes an ES. And there are certain word endings that tell us, that's our hint, that we need to add an ES. So those endings are SH, just like in fish, CH, SS, or X. So if your verb ends with one of those sets of letters or letter, then you always have to add an ES, okay? Then they'll agree. Just add an S to most other verbs to make them agree with our subjects, our singular subjects, okay? So that was kind of a lot of information. Now let's see if we can practice. So go ahead and flip your paper over. And kiddos, up here I want you to do a couple little stars because that is our important information box. To make most verbs agree with singular subjects, just add an S. To make verbs that end in SH, CH, SS, or X agree with singular subjects, add our ES. So let's do some practice. I'm going to do the first couple with you so you understand what we're working on, and then I'll let you go ahead and finish this up. Circle the verb from each sentence. If the sentence has a singular subject, write singular. If it has a plural subject, write plural. So, magnets turn inside compasses. Well, I know our verb here is what it does, what our magnets do. So I'm going to circle our verb turn. You go ahead and do that too. Now, if our subject is singular, we write singular. If it's plural, we write plural. So let's look at our subject. Magnets. You see that S. That tells me it's more than one. So you're going to write plural on the line. Okay? So you're going to go ahead and do the same thing for numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now let's take a look at our next section because the directions change a little bit. Complete each one with the correct spelling of the present time verb in parentheses. So we're going to use these words here. Present time means it's happening now. Okay? So the cow swat flies with its tail. Now we have to decide, do we need an S to make it agree, or do we not need an S or an ES if you need? The cow swat flies with its tail, or the cow swats flies with his tail? We only have one of our subject. We have one cow. And if we think back, to make most verbs agree with our singular subject, we have to add an S. So that means we have to turn our swat into swats. The cow swats flies with its tail. You're going to do the same thing for 7, 8, 9, and 10. You're going to use the verbs wag, perch, and I'm going to double underline that ending. I hope you catch why. Use and slap. Those are the verbs you're going to use. Then on the bottom, I do want you to try this on some loose leaf paper. I don't think you'd have enough room on the bottom to do this. You're going to write 5 sentences for me. Use the words below as their subjects, and then be sure your verbs agree. So your subjects, the pilot, explorers, a spacesuit, their adventures, and that radio. Make sure your verbs agree by adding an S or an ES, or leaving it without an S or an ES. Make sure these are good third grade sentences too, with at least 7 words in them. If you have any questions, as always, just let me know.